Can you really build your dream home for $500,000? On paper, it seems quite doable. But when you dig into the details, it becomes complicated. So today, we're gonna be taking a look into the real cost of building a home on a $500,000 budget to see, is it really enough to make this dream come true? And I'm gonna be comparing 3 custom builders to 3 chain builders in the area. All these homes are right around 2,400 square feet to keep it as similar as possible and give you a better idea if that $500,000 budget is actually doable or not. What's up guys? Anthony Esposito with eXp Realty, your local real estate expert right here in the Cleveland, Ohio area. And whether you're considering building or buying an existing home, selling your home, investing, I'm helping people just like you every single week navigating this market. I'd love to help you out as well. You can contact me directly here or use one of the methods I have listed in the description below. So let's find out if that $500,000 budget is gonna build the dream home that you've always wanted. So I took 2,400 square foot home simply because that is one of the most common sizes that I'm hearing from people of what they are looking to have. Whether it's building or buying an existing home, for whatever reason, 2,400 square feet seems to be a common average that is out there. And the builders that I'm gonna be comparing with their starting prices, I got the 3 custom builders that are the big ones in the area that a lot of people know about. It's Schumacher, Diani, and Wayne Homes are 3 of the more common ones that people always mention. And then the chain builders, I got Pulte, Drees, and Hovnanian. Those are the 3 big chain builders that are in this area. Each one has their own style, and they all have their different place. And I wanted to do custom to chain builder because some of you out there may want to build a house on a large lot of land, or you want to change things up however you want to make it. That's going to be on the custom side of things. Some of you may want a development or, not as many choices, make it a little bit less overwhelming. That's going to be on the chain builder side of things. So we'll take a look at all 6 of these builders. And I just want you to note too that all these prices are going to vary. It's location based, it's county based, because every county has different fees that they have to charge. There's a lot of different variables, but we're just gonna look at this as an average and take it from there. Now, a couple of the differences between a custom build and a chain builder. With the custom builders, you are getting foundation up. Plain and simple, cut and dry, that's what they are covering. With the chain builders, a lot of times they will have a driveway added in. They may have the landscaping added in with the cost of the home. There's a lot of different variables that go along with that. Now, with some of the custom builds, ones like Wayne Homes, they require you as the homeowner to pull the permits, where other custom builders and the chain builders, they handle all of that for you. So there are some differences within that aspect. And of course, custom builders, you get more leeway, you get more freedom to do what you want. But in the grand scheme of things, sometimes depending on the standards of their packages of what they get, a lot of times, I should say instead of sometimes, a lot of times custom builds, depending on the location of where you're building, they might end up being right around the same price as a chain builder. So it just really comes down to, do you want to be in a development or do you want to have some space? So let's take a look at the starting prices of all these builders. So I'm going to start with the chain builders themselves. Particularly, let's start with Hovnanian. This is the Water Lily. As you see, there's 2,400 square feet, almost 2,500 square feet, 5 beds, 3 baths, 2 cars. Starting price is at $336,999. Now, as we look into Drees, this model in particular, this is the Bradburn. It's featured with 2,400 square feet, and it can go up to 2,500 square feet, but upper 2,400 square feet. And you're going to start out with 4 beds, 2.5 baths. All the options that you see are just add-ons that you could do. That starting price for that development is $432,900. Now, if we take a look at Pulte, the Newberry, this one starts with 3 beds, 2.5 baths with a little under 2,400 square feet, and the starting price is at $382,990. Now, as we look at the custom builders, this is Diani Homes. This is the Creekmore, where you get 3 beds, 2.5 baths for a hair under 2,500 square feet. Their starting price on this home is $438,300. Now, looking over at Wayne Homes, this is the Oliver, which features 4 beds, 2.5 baths, and it's 2,400 square feet again, but it's 2,483. It's a little less than 2,500 square feet. And the way I had to price this is for Medina County. It had to go by county. So Medina County, it's $313,900 is what their starting price is. And then if we take a look at Schumacher Homes, the Charleston, it's a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, 2,400 square feet, right on the money. And that starting price is at $379,117. Now, you may see all those prices. It's under $500,000, right? So you're probably saying to yourself, it's definitely doable. Not necessarily. Those starting prices, it's going to be the elevation A typically. So it's going to be the basic elevation, which if you don't know the elevation, that is just the exterior of the home. It's going to be the most basic exterior that you're going to get. It's going to be the standard package, nothing else included. And here's what you're not told up front, whether it's chain builder or not. Custom builder, it's a little bit different because they're building on your lot, so you have to purchase the lot. With the chain builders like Pulte, Drees, Hovnanian, that doesn't include a lot price. So that starting price that we were seeing, that's not the lot included. So yes, it is under $500,000, but now you got to factor in how much each lot is. And of course, the premium lots in the developments are going to be the most expensive. Now, I don't have exact pricing on that because it varies from community to community, every city. The location matters. But I've seen some to where it might be $50,000 for a lot. I've seen some areas and some builders where they're charging $100,000 for a lot. So right there on some of those homes like the Drees, that puts you over $500,000 just by getting the lot itself. So that's a big hidden cost that you don't even know up front because they don't advertise it. When you see the chain builders advertising for their developments, there's nothing on that sign outside of the development that says lot not included. It's never like that. They want to get you in there and obviously start the conversation. So keep that in mind. That is not a lot that is included, and it is the basic package with the basic exterior to a home. Now with the custom builders, obviously that's foundation up like I mentioned earlier. That's not including driveway, landscaping, none of that stuff. But what's nice about the custom builders is, yes, you have to purchase the lot outside of that. And again, that can vary, but on average, you could be looking around $75,000 for a piece of property. It just really depends on location itself. And also like how many acres that you want to end up purchasing. The nice thing is that with the custom builders, they can use your land, your piece of property, as your down payment because it's instant equity as soon as you buy land, because land never depreciates, it only appreciates. So they could end up doing that. And then I will say with Drees, they do build on your lot, so they can fall into that category of building where you want. And their setup is a little bit different just because they are a national company. So their financing situation is completely different. They'll essentially buy your land and you will deed it over to them, and then they'll deed everything back to you. And the nice thing that Drees has that gets put in place is they cover all the costs throughout the whole building process. Where like a typical construction loan that you end up seeing, you'll have to sign off on like the next phase, and you'll be paying the interest. And it's going to keep growing as the build goes on until you close on it, and then you have your actual mortgage payment. It's not like that with Drees, a little bit different. But those custom builders, they can use the lot as a down payment, which will just add on to it. Now, out of all the builders that we saw, obviously Wayne Homes had the cheapest amount for a starting price at that $313 for that 2,400 square foot home. Now, let's just say we'll factor in $75,000 for the lot itself, which that is going to take you to about, that $385 mark, somewhere in there. So you're still left with, $110,000, $115,000 roughly to do as you please. Here's what you need to know when building with a custom builder. You don't have $115,000 to put into the house however you please. Now you got to factor in what they call lot prep with the custom builds, which that's going to include any tree removal. That includes the survey to map everything out, your house, your property itself, like put the pins in, all the fun stuff that comes with it. That's going to include your construction drive. That's going to include your tap-ins, with whether it's public water, natural gas, sewer. If you don't have public sewer, that lot prep is going to have a septic system cost implemented into that. And you're talking anywhere from $20,000 to $35,000 for a typical septic system. Just really depends on what the county says that you need to get, because the soil test, that's all in lot prep. That's going to determine your septic system. Now, it's also going to be, if you want landscaping, you're going to allocate money in there for your landscaping. It's going to be, do you want a concrete driveway? It's going to, that'll be allocated in there. Anything with the lot is going to be allocated into the lot prep. So if you need a well and a septic, well, now you're increasing your money right there, because then it's going to cost money to implement the well. So that $115,000, that can add up really quick. And when you get a septic system, or when you need a septic system in place, pretty much the rule of thumb, the best way to do it is to just allocate $100,000 for lot prep, which will cover, like I said, the landscaping. Depending on your setback, it could cover your driveway. Concrete's pretty expensive right now. And then it's going to cover your septic and all your tap-ins to go along with it to essentially complete your house. So let's say you're at that $385 for the Wayne home. Well, now you're at $485. So you pretty much got $15,000 roughly to do any sort of upgrades. It's not much. There could be a different elevation you want that might cost $30,000. You may want a extra course in your basement, because standard is, might be 8 feet. You might want that 9-foot ceiling height in your basement. That could be an extra, let's say, $6,000. It just really depends on how the house is going to be sitting on the land itself, because you might actually need to add some courses. If you have like a slope going down, you may need to add some courses to the foundation just to level it off and get like that 8-foot mark or so. And that's all stuff that you'll find out for your site evaluation after you sign the contracts with things. So that $15,000 doesn't go a long way. Now, if you factor in some of these other builders that are in the $400 range, you're already over budget. So that $500,000 mark, it's probably not going to get you where you want to be, especially if, the lot, even if it's chain builder, is $50,000 and you're already at, that 450 range or so. That's putting you right at your budget. So the custom builds that are starting at that 400,000 mark, so Deani, Schumacher, you're not building a 2,400 square foot home with those two builders if you haven't already purchased your land. You are going over that $500,000 budget. I'm sorry to say. You're going to have to look at one of the chain builders. You saw Hovnanian that was, less than $400,000. So that is, in that development, that is an area where you can most likely build a house. Just keep in mind, you're not really getting a lot of updates with that. That's just the basic package with the basic exterior of the house. And just a little advice for you, it is much easier to upgrade interior features. Let's say, granite countertops throughout the whole house, not just the kitchen, or your carpeting. Flooring is extremely inexpensive when you think about the cost of everything else, the grand, scheme of things. Your door hardware. That's little stuff that you can change over time. The exterior of your house, that's not so easily addressed. It can be quite expensive, really, is the best way to put it. So when you're building a home, one of the big things that you want to factor in right away is what is your elevation going to look like? And that is an area that you want to focus on, because it's not something that can be upgraded at a cheap cost. And another one that you want to look at, if you do want that extra course in the basement, you got to do that when you build. There's no way around it. That is another upgraded cost that you're going to have to do. Those are my top two things that I always tell my clients when they are building a home, because everything else can be addressed. Now, another thing I want to go into is the fact that even though it pretty much seems like $500,000 is not going to cut it when building a home, unless you are perfectly fine with the basic package and a specific location with a specific builder. $500,000 just is not enough money. However, there are some homes that'll have, say, quick move-ins or so with these chain builders. Or it may be, say, $550,000 or so. Maybe it goes a little above that budget that you had set. The incentives that they have been running can actually bring it down, or at least you get a cheaper interest rate where you might be able to afford that extra $50,000. So don't just write it off and count it out. Now, if you need a house and you want to build a house and you want everything and anything that you could possibly think of to make it how you want to make it, and I'm not saying every little detail is upgraded, and it's going to be like $150,000 more than that $500,000 budget, you're going to pretty much have to sit and maybe save up for another year or so. Don't settle. Whatever you do not settle and just say, oh, this is what it is. That is something that I do not want you to do. So yes, $500,000 could potentially get you in a newly built home. But the truth of the matter is, more than likely, you're not building a home for $500,000. That is just what it comes down to. Drop a comment down below. Let me know your thoughts on the building process. Is it something you're saving up for, or is it something where you just don't want anything to do with? It is a pretty extensive project to take on as a buyer. If you got any value from the video, be sure to smash the like button. It's greatly appreciated. If you need help with building a home, selling, buying an existing, investing, whatever the case is, let me be that resource for you. Let me help you like I have many others who are reaching out to me every single week. Contact me directly here, and I'm happy to see how I can help you out as well. If you haven't already, click subscribe, turn notifications on so you can stay up to date on my future videos that I have coming your way.